All right, you're live. Hello.
Hi, everyone.
Shreya, since you weren't on the stream last week, did you want to introduce, talk?
Yeah, for sure. Hi, everyone. My name is Shreya. I am the current head of community and people ops at Bit Project. So I deal with all of like the people-related stuff and making sure everyone's happy and all of the projects are going well. I also collaborate with all of the departments to make sure all of the projects are on time and help out with the boot camps in any way that I can. And I just wanted to join the live stream because I did some updates to the week 2 and week 3 curriculum that I wanted to share with the students. So yeah. Nice to meet you.
So will we be able to go over those updates at the end of our Twilio quest today?
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Cool. And we'll pick up where we left off last week for the Twilio quest. I did get a new computer, had to start over. I asked how I could transfer my game data, but I was like, whatever, I'll just do it over. So that's okay. Since I already had all the JavaScript files saved and everything, I didn't have to do any of that. It was really just going through it and putting in like the pew 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 password and stuff. So yeah, we will pick up where we left off. I believe the lab had exploded, so we were looking for some passwords to reactivate those beams, so we could fix that. So I will share my screen quickly. And here I have, you guys can see my screen okay?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so I just have the repo pulled up for week 2, just so we can look at the outcomes, going over string and string functions. We'll get into arrays, some lists, more functions and parameters, and returning things from those functions. And yeah, so we have a quick overview of what we'll do for this live stream. So I already have my code editor open in the background, just so we don't have to worry about that loading. So oops, I'm gonna start Twilio Quest.
I love your desk picture.
Thank you. I took it at this really cool plant shop in DC.
Oh, nice. You took
It's really expensive, but it's really nice. And I think the plant I got from there died, but that's it happens. Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
I am very old, and it's only been about 2 years now since I stopped accidentally killing every plant that I ever tried to keep. So, learning is a journey. You can
That's
get
a real plus.
So this is telling me to do the basic training again because, like I said, I got a new computer and I did not want to do that again. So I skipped the basic training because I already did it on my other laptop, and now I just went straight into the JavaScript test lab. So right now my progress for basic training is back to 0, but I'll fix that. So we've gotten through this part. Let me talk to this guy. We got all the way through here, and as you can see, the lab is on fire, completely destroyed. Did we do this one already? Let's look. Okay, so what this is saying that there are 3 lost scientists scattered across the lab, so we have to find them to get their activation codes so we can fix those 3 beams, and then we'll come here to fix the final beam. So let's look at this beam. So we'll use the botanist activation code and Boolean logic to enable this beam. So it says the botanist is most likely in the lab's south wing, where they had previously been seen studying the effect of the TPM on plant life. So we'll find this botanist and we will get this code. So it says south wing, so I'll go down here. To me? Yeah, okay. He is very upset. Okay, 20 years as a tenured professor of botany, dozens of published works, and left to rot in a burning husk of lab. All right. Sorry, Mr. Botanist. Let's see what he has to say. Stern okay. Yeah, he's angry. This guy's angry. So the lead scientist is working to reverse the experiment, but we need your access code. Please. Working on a solution, is she? If I had been placed in charge of this project, you can be sure we never have ended up in this situation to begin with. Okay, this guy's shady. Yeah, he's shading our lead scientist, but it's cool. If you want to waste your time helping her, be my guest. This guy's mean. All right. I'll happily give you my access code once you clear the path for my escape. Okay, we'll press for time. Just come on. You'll need to retrieve it from me if you insist on carrying out this fool's errand. Oh my God. This guy is not messing with our lead scientist. Okay. You need to extend the energy bridges connecting the different sections of the lab. There's a control panel by each bridge section you can use to do it. It'll probably require that you be clever enough to write JavaScript code that uses conditional logic, so I won't hold my breath. Okay. That was nice. Okay. So we have to fix some bridges to get go ahead. We have to fix some bridges to get over to this really mean botanist so we can get his access code and fix those other beams. So here we'll learn about an essential programming building block, the if statement. Cool. So we're gonna create a file called North Bridge Control, get a string of text passed as a command line argument, and we'll use the if statement to see if the argument string is extend, we will print the string extending bridge. Okay, that seems easy enough. And then when we run this command, we'll pass in our argument. And yeah, let's do that. So let me just copy this, open up my code editor, and I'll create this new file. So again, all we want to do for this is get a string of text passed as a command line argument. So if I remember this correctly, we'll do, we'll create a variable. I'll just call it command. And why am I not remembering? It's like process, RV, I believe. Correct me if I'm wrong. And then we'll get the second one. So this will give us whatever we pass into the command line. It'll be saved into this variable. Unlike last time, I'll pull up that code also. I believe it was polite lasers. No. It was divide by 2. So last time we used the process that RV, we converted it to a number because we needed to do math. We needed to divide by 2, but this time we just need the argument itself. We don't have to change it to a number. So we're good with command, and we can just do a simple if statement. So if the command is equal to, what was it again? Extend, I believe. Yeah, so if it's equal to the string extend, we'll print extending bridge. So with JavaScript, you have to use 3 equal signs. And I know a while ago, Kyle, Javid, and I, none of us knew that. So we were just like, why is this not working? We looked in the documentation. I don't remember why exactly it needed 3 equal signs, but.
So in PHP, which is the language that I know the most about, there's a distinction, which is probably the same distinction in JavaScript, which is 2 equal signs means that we will attempt to do a loose matching, and 3 equal signs means that it needs to be the exact match.
Cool. Thank you so much. So we have our 3 equal signs to check if it matches this exactly, extend. And if it does, we'll just do a console.log, and then I wish I had good memory. Extending bridge. Okay. Extending. No capital? Oops. Down slack. Extending bridge. Cool. And this should work. So if our command, which we got from the command line argument, is equal to extend, we will print extending bridge. Twilio class. Hack. Does work. Yes. You replace the bridge activation routine, and a bridge made of pure energy extends ahead of you. Continue onward to find the botanist. Bridge. Oh, this bridge. Oh, I have to go all the way around. Okay, cool. What's this all about? I think Twilio Quest supports reforestation in Australia. Click hack and Twilio will donate $1 to plant a tree. Okay. Cool. Thanks for helping plant a tree. Thank you. Oh, and it's okay. That's so cute. There's a plant over there. Okay, so I think this will activate our next bridge. Extend the east bridge by learning to use an else statement in your conditional logic. Cool. So while searching for the means to extend the west bridge in the lab, you discover this control panel. Apparently, the west bridge is disabled because the lab's tree life detector system has been damaged. You'll need to repair the tree life detector before you continue onward toward the botnets. I can do that. So we'll create a file called tree life detector. If it is passed the number 0 as a command line argument, we'll print alive. And if it's passed any other number as a command line argument, we'll print other. So, okay, we get this cool table just giving us different options for our argument and what it should print. And we see that if it's anything other than 0, we need to print other. So, yeah, we can do that. So I'll copy this, go back to the code editor, create a new file here, tree life detector. So again, we need our command line argument. I'll just call it tree status. Okay. So constant, we'll just call it tree status. That'll be equal to process e2. And then we'll use our if and else statement. So if this tree status is equal to 0, we want to print out simple alive. And so this is similar to what we just did with our north bridge control, but we need to add an else statement. So at the end of this, I'll do an else statement, meaning that if the tree status is equal to 0, do this. If it's literally anything else, we want to print, I believe it was other. So let's see. Yeah, that's pretty straightforward.
Now, you mentioned that in a different exercise, you needed to convert that command line argument into a number before you checked it. Do you think maybe you need to either do that here or make the comparison that you're using a string, rather like putting the 0 in quotes? Because if this were PHP, you need to do one of those things. Or you need to use a double equal sign instead of a triple equal sign, because in PHP, it will attempt to do type conversion for you.
Yeah, so since we're passing in that command line argument, this 0 would have to be in a string because I didn't change it to a number. Yes, thank you for that. Yeah, so let's check that out. Boom. Okay, thank you so much for that. So you patch the tree life detector with your fix, and in the distance you hear the western bridge can hum to life. Continue onwards to find the botnets. Okay, cool. What's this? Hold on. I got distracted. I'm sorry. I want this. I should take out the flame of open source mission to help me burn through this forest. Okay. So that's another mission. I'm going to do that mission, and I'm going to come back because I want to know what's in there. I'm going to get that. Okay, mission button. Wait, I looked that way already. Oops. Okay. Maybe it's over here. I thought there'd be. Oh, what's this? Learn to use more complex conditions in your if statements. Okay. What do you guys think? Should I finish the bridge first and get to this botnet, or should I try this? This looks like a side mission of some sort.
It does look like a side mission, but it's also directly relevant to the if statements that you've already been doing, so I think it would make sense to do right now.
That is true. All right, let's check it out. So tucked away in the southeast corner of the botany lab, you notice another system that was damaged during the incident. It looks like the automated sprinkler system has gone offline, which has somehow disabled the south bridge. So we need to keep the plants hydrated, so we got to fix that system. Okay, so we'll create a file named shouldwater.js. The script will take 2 command line arguments. Never did that before. 2 command line arguments. Okay. The first argument is a plant's life status. 0 means the plant is alive. The second is the plant's dryness level. Anything above 10 means the plant needs water. Okay, so this is an example of what we would write in our command line. So to make the water system, the sprinkler system, function properly, the script should print the string water only if the first argument to the script is 0 and the second argument is a number greater than 10. It should not print anything otherwise. Okay, so we have to do an if statement where we're checking 2 things. I'm gonna take a peek at our help just to make sure. Okay, we use a double ampersand. I know in Python you just type and, so I wanted to look at the syntax for that real quick. So I'll create a new file, should water, and we want to create two. We need to take in two command line arguments. So we'll have the life status and the dryness level. So I'll just name those accordingly. Life status and dry level. And I'm assuming they're going to be in that exact order. Yes. So we want our first one, process B. This will be our first command line argument. And we'll do something similar for our second one, except it needs to be 3. Because that'll be our second command line argument. So now we have our two variables that take our command line arguments, and we need to compare those. So this string should print the script should print the string water only if the first argument to the script is 0. So let's check that first. So let's do our if statement, and if our life status is equal to 0, and these are little ampersand, I believe. We'll just go with it. So we'll debug. So if the first argument to the script is 0 and the second argument is greater than 10, and oh wait, I can't use a string. I need a number because we have to check if it's greater, correct?
Well, you'll definitely need to do that for the second one, although I think it's irrelevant for the first one.
Okay, cool. So could I?
Because the equal, you can check it against a string, but you can't really check if a string is greater than or less than.
So
unless it does type conversion for you. With our triple equals, it will definitely not do that.
Okay, so just to stay on the safe side, I'll just change that to a number. So I'll create another variable just because number. Yeah, name that accordingly. And then we'll do number and dry level. So similar to how we did it in our divide by 2 last week, I just use this number keyword in front of it, and that'll convert our variable to a number. So now I don't want to use this one anymore. I want to use the number, and it said greater than 10, right? Yes, the second argument is a number greater than 10. So if both of those statements are true, then we want to console.log. What do we want to print? Print the string water. Okay. Cool. All caps, water. Let's see that. Awesome. All right. The sprinkler system appears to be back online along with the south bridge. So we'll just look at that one more time. This if statement, instead of just checking one thing like we did in our north bridge control, we had to check two conditions. So we use a double ampersand. This means that both of these conditions must be true. And since they're both true, we print the string water. That was pretty easy. Just for no reason. Okay, so we fixed the sprinkler system. Cute little side mission. But let's try to get over here to the botanist. So I think this should be our last bridge. We'll learn to branch conditional logic in multiple directions as you extend the bridge toward the botanist. So the final bridge separating you from the botanist is also disabled. Similar to the west bridge, this one has failed because the tree life detector is under-configured. But this time we'll need to create an enhanced version of the tree life detector script to extend the bridge. So we'll create a file called the enhanced life detector. I'll just copy that name, our code folder that we set up last week. And this program will take a single command line argument, a single digit number indicating the current life status of a tree. It then prints out human readable string of text indicating the current status of a tree. So nearby you see a mapping of the tree life status IDs to human readable strings with more statuses than just alive and other. So I'll just reference that last code. We only had 2. We had either it was alive or something else. That's helpful. So now we have more specific statuses for our tree. So we want to check if it's 0, it's alive. If it's 1, it's flowering. If it's 2, it's shedding, and then if it's 3 or above, it is other. So when your script is executed, it should print out the proper human readable string of text based on the ID number that we pass in. Okay. So for this one, if you pass in 2, as you can see on the table, it should print shedding. And if it's not either 0, 1, or 2, then we'll print other. So you need to employ more complex Boolean logic than you did previously. So for this one, we're going to do if-else statements, I believe. We can look at the help tab and see. Yeah, we're going to use if, else if. We can do that. Simple stuff. So I think I already copied the name. So let's just create a new file. I did. Look at me. Past me, looking out for future me. So what we want is we are going to take a command line argument again, so like we did before. So let's do constant, and let's just call it tree status again, and we'll do process dot b 2. So this is our tree status, and then we're just going to use multiple if and else if statements to check the status of our tree and return those strings accordingly. So our first one is, if our tree status is equal to 0, we want that to do console.log alive. Forward. But then, let's see, what was it? Here we just have one if and then one else. But since we're doing multiple statements here, we're going to use else if. And this will allow us to check multiple conditions. And then our last one will just say else because it's anything greater than 3. So else if we will do tree status is equal to 1, and I believe that one was sprouting, budding, something like that. Let me see. Flowering. Okay, I was not close at all. Flowering. Console of log flowering. Flowering. Yes. And then we have another else if statement because we have one more condition to check. 2 is shedding. So if our tree status is equal to 2, we want to do console log shedding. And then this is where we can use our final, this is where we can use our final else. And it's just going to console log, and I believe that has to be other. I think for like future reference, wouldn't you be able to use a switch case for this? Or is that beyond the scope of this?
The thing about switch statements is, again, at least in PHP, is that that each instance is a single equals evaluation, so you couldn't do greater than or less than. And so the way you have done this, absolutely, yes, you could do it. However, if you had done a specific examination, like if you had decided that because all of the entries were numbers, that you would only use numbers and you would do that last one as a comparison of greater than or equal to 3, then suddenly, because you were using that that value comparison and not an equals, suddenly the switch statement would no longer be equivalent.
Okay, got it. Cool.
But otherwise, it's equivalent, and I mean equivalent like underneath as well.
Okay, so I think I don't think we're not covering switch statements this weekend, but it's cool enough. It's cool enough for future reference and for other programs that you may write.
Yes, so, and the reason to use a switch statement instead of an if-else statement is purely human readability. If you find one easier to read than the other in a specific instance, then that's the one you should use.
Okay, that is actually really good to know because I've seen people use switch statements and I'm like, what's going on here? I prefer if else if all that good stuff. But if you don't use switch statements, I don't judge. Just for me, I don't like them at all. But I appreciate everything that switch statements do for us, of course. So once we click hack here, should work. Yes. So your enhancements to the tree life detector appear to be working. The bridge ahead hums to life and the path to the botanist is finally clear. Thank you. Please give me your code, sir. It's about time. Okay. Take my access code for beam 2 if you must. I will remain a moment longer to collect my research materials before I evacuate. I'll admit that you're not as hopeless as I originally suspected. Okay. Thank you, Mr. Botanist. Did he give us the code? Or, oh, I already have it? Okay. I'm guessing once we get back over there, it'll just do that for us. How do I get there? This way. Thank you, Botanist. Okay, so since he gave us the code, will it... Oh, I still have to do things. Okay. Sort order. Using the botanist activation code, you access the controls for the stasis beam. After running a quick diagnostic routine, you see that the laser is missing a key piece of functionality, a script that sorts strings in alphabetical order. Okay, I definitely thought that getting this code would just let us turn the beam on, but this is okay too. This is all right. So we'll create a file called sort order, and this script will take 2 command line arguments. So similar to the one we just did where we checked for the water and the dryness. A pair of strings that should be compared to see which one comes first alphabetically. Letter casing is not important. And to test it, we'll just give it 2 arguments, so cats, dogs. And it'll determine if the first string is before, after, or in the same position, so equal to the second string, alphabetically, of course. So if the first argument is earlier in the alphabet, then we should print -1. When the first argument is the same as the second, your script should print 0. And when the first argument is later in the alphabet than the second, your function should print 1. And then we'll click the hack button to start this laser up again. So let's create our new file here. Sort order. So, oh, I have a period at the end. I don't know if that will affect it, but I don't feel that. Okay. So we need our 2 arguments again. I'll just call this first word, straightforward, and then I'll create another one, second word. And just like how we did where it should water, we'll have the process arg2, process arg3. So those are our first and second arguments in our command line. And let me close some of these just for my sake. It's too much going on for me. So this will be our process arg2. Oops. And this will be the same, but arg3. Just getting our next command line argument. And we want to use our if statements again. So let's just look at that one more time. So if the first word comes earlier in the alphabet, we'll print -1. If it's the same, we'll print 0. And if it's later, you'll print 1. So what I want to do for this is I'll do an if statement for if it's earlier, if statement if it's after, so else if statement, and then I'll do else. So that would just assume that they are that the first argument is the same as the second. Then we'll just print 0. So let's compare these. So we'll do if first word. I believe with JavaScript I can just do the comparison operators with these. Second word. And if that is the case, we want to do console.log -1. So this is just checking if the first word comes before the second word alphabetically. So we use the less than operator. Also, oh, I think I forgot something. Letter casing is not important. I don't know how exactly ToleoQuest will test our code, but just to be safe, I kind of want to use 2 lowercase. This will just make sure all of everything's lowercase, so it'll be easier for us to compare them. We have our first condition, if the first word comes before the second word, and then I want to do the else if the else if the first word comes after the second word, we want to print, was it 1? Oops, not print, sorry, that's my Python brain. Console log 1. So Let me double check that. Yep, and then anything else, if they're the same, we use else, and we'll do console.log 0. Yeah, looks good. Let's test it out. Boom. So we got Stasis Beam 2 running. Thank God. All right. Now we have to fix this one, and then we'll be able to fix that last one. Let's see how we can get through here. I'm going to create a function. Oh, okay. We did this last week, but yeah, I'm so sorry about that. I got a new laptop, so my Twilio Quest stuff was kind of messed up. So yeah, this is all the polite lasers and polite laser function that we went over last week. Shreya, should I upload these solutions to GitHub, to the GitHub repo?
Hi. That would probably be really helpful for the students if they want to kind of like see how you went about doing all of these and try them on their own.
Okay, cool. I'll do that. Okay, yeah, I'm sorry about this stuff. I wasn't sure how to transfer my save data. One of the Twilio Quest mentors did help me, but it was like right before the stream, so I had already gotten through most of the stuff. But we do have that for future reference if you need to know how to transfer your save data. So now we need an electrical engineer's activation code to enable this stasis beam. So we have to speak to the electrical engineer. You can see we got beam 2 on. So let's see, in the east wing. Let's find this electrical engineer. I think I remember, okay, we did come over here last week, but we wanted to wait till this week to go over it. So now we'll do arrays. Arrays are a common data structure you'll encounter while programming. In order to navigate this further, you will need to learn how they work. Okay. So we create our file, and we'll declare a variable named inventory that contains the 5 strings of text describing the objective. So let's take a look at that. You enter the lab. The research team engineer must have been trapped aboard the supply ship after the explosion in the lab. So you see that the freighter currently docked with the station is called the infinite loop, and its systems are controlled by JavaScript logic that uses arrays, or a list of items. The control mechanism blocking your path will require you to write JavaScript code that uses arrays in a variety of ways. So this link will take you to some documentation about arrays. Again, I highly recommend checking out the documentation that Twilio Quest provides because it's great. It's good stuff to know. It's really helpful. Don't be afraid to look at documentation. It is a very useful skill. So we will copy the name of this, and we're just gonna declare a variable called inventory, and it'll contain an array with the following 5 strings in this order. So let me go ahead and make that new file, and we'll create a variable inventory. It was called, please. Yes, and we'll use these square brackets to make an array. So will this let me copy and paste all of these? Yes. So we have the terbium ore, uranium rod, ruthenium isotopes, concave lens refraction panel. Okay, sorry if I mess up the pronunciation of any of these. I'm computer science. I didn't do that well in chemistry, so please bear with me if I butcher the names of these. And yeah, we just copy and pasted the strings here. But when we use an array, we need to have a comma between our items here. So just to clean this up, make this look a little prettier, I will put this all in one line, and I will use a comma between each item in our array. So we just have our array, 5 strings, and that one's super straightforward. So that's hack. Cool. So you corrected the shipping manifest for the infinite loop and can now proceed onward. We have another one. Let's check it out. So learn to access the data inside arrays using indexes. So the second seal of the airlock is blocked off by another security barrier. The JavaScript code that you'll need to fix here is a function that processes shipping manifests, specifically there's a function that takes an array of strings as an argument and returns a new string, which is a result of sticking the first and last items of the array together. So we'll need to get this function working properly. So we'll create a file called add first to last in our code folder, and we'll create a function with the same name, and this function will take in one argument and an array of strings. So the function should return a string, which is the first and last items in the input array concatenated together. So here are some examples. We have first, second, third. It'll return first, third because it took our first item in the array, our last item, concatenate. Our golden terrier. If we have one item, then it'll just add those things. And then if it's empty, then we'll return an empty string. So let me copy and paste this. And new file. And all these files will be added to the GitHub repository. I'll do that after this stream. So if you want to check for future reference, they'll be here. So we're going to create a function. It's going to be add first to last, same as our file name. And we're going to take in, let's just call it a string array. So it's going to take in an array. What we want, let's do this first. If it's empty, we're just going to return an empty string. So we can use an if statement, and what we'll do is call string array and use length. So if the length of this array is equal to 0, and we just want to return empty string, nothing there. Cool. If it's anything else, so if it's not empty, we want to concatenate the first item of the array and the last item of the array, and we'll return that. So I'll just use return here. And then in order to get the index of an array, you just type the name of your array and then the number of the index you want. So arrays start counting at 0. So our first element will be 0. Then it goes 0, 1, 2, 3. So that is really important to remember. Arrays start at 0. And it will just concatenate that with the last element. I know for some languages, to get the last element of an array, you can just use -1, but I'm not so sure with JavaScript.
I don't know that either, so I would just use the string length, the
length
array
-1.
length -1.
Okay, yeah. So for this one, like I said, for some languages you can use -1 to get your last index, but for the sake of this example, we'll do some more research, look into documentation and clarify that. But for the sake of this exercise, we're going to do string array, and the index we're going to use is string array.length -1. And the reason that we need to do length -1 is because, like I said, arrays start counting at 0, but length starts at 1. So it'll be off by 1. So we're just going to do -1 in order to get that last element of our array. And once we save that, here I can do a terminal in VS Code. Who would have thought? Okay, I'll test that out quickly here. Actually, we'll just run that in Twilio Quest. I can test it. So we'll do node and then add first to last, and then we want to pass in. Oh no, I don't think I can do it that way because we don't have a command line argument set up. So I would have to we'll just do that into the request. Okay, so that did it. You can now pass through the airlock and board the infinite loop. Okay, yeah. So like I said, I will make sure we have all this on GitHub in case any of this you need to look at again, because I do want to see if there's another way to get the last element of an array, but this works pretty fine. So feel free to use that.
I did a quick check on Stack Overflow and I didn't see an alternate way.
Okay, cool. Thank you. So yeah, this just checks if it's empty. We want to return an empty string, and then yeah, got that. That one's pretty cool. And now we can get through here. So now we will learn to split arrays into multiple arrays and to sort the items within them. Okay, this one might take a little bit of time because, I try not to mess up on the stream, but it's okay. We're all learning, so let's take a look at this. So after stepping aboard the infinite loop, you see that the explosion has caused several of their own systems to malfunction, including this barrier. You'll have to fix some of the array processing code aboard the ship in order to access the areas within. You find the bit of code causing this barrier to remain closed. Like the previous barriers you encountered, you'll need to fix a misbehaving JavaScript function that deals with array processing. All right. So we create a file called getFirstAmountSorted in our code folder, and inside it, we'll create a function called getFirstAmountSorted. This function will take in 2 arguments. The first argument should be an array, and the second argument should be a number. And your function must do the following. Begin by sorting the input array, the first argument, into alphabetical order, sorting arrays. And then once that input array is sorted, we'll return a new array. Might be a typo. We'll return a new array, which is the first n elements of the input array, where n is the value of the second argument to your function. Okay. I had to read this slow to make sure I get everything. So here's an example. We create a variable called output array, and it'll call our function getFirstAmountSorted, and it'll sort this array alphabetically, and then it'll give you the first 2 elements. So the first argument that you pass in is your array, then the second one that you pass in is how many arguments you want it to return. So we can see some more examples here. It'll sort this and then give you the first 2. Same for this. I already sorted, so and the number is 1, so it'll give you coding, and so on and so forth. So I am going to copy and paste this, and I'm going to be completely honest. I need to look at the help tab. I definitely need to take a look at that help tab. But we'll just get started with this first. So we'll create our function that our function is going to be the same as the file name. So get first amount sorted. If I could spell, that'd be great. And it'll take in, what should I name these? It'll take in, I'll just call it string array, and then string array and numbers, or something like that. So it'll take in string array, and it'll take in number. Okay. So what we want to do, our first order of business is sorting the input array. So let's take a look at our help. And we see that we will be going over the functions that are built into array objects, which is extremely helpful. So we have a sort function that changes an existing array by sorting all the elements. And then we have a slice function, which will create a new array that is a subset of our given array. Oh, this time all my business or where my folder is. Okay. So here we have some starter code. So as you can see, we already got our function created, and we want to, it broke it down into steps for us. So the help tab is really, really useful. Please make sure you look at those. We'll sort it alphabetically. We'll create an array which contains the first n items of the sorted array, and then we'll return that. And this is just testing, which isn't necessary, but we're gonna use this to test because they were helpful enough to give us some code to test it. So I'm gonna put this at the bottom while we figure out some code. So we're gonna take, let me look at this again. So we need to use sort. So again, TullioQuest gives us awesome links to a lot of things. So I want to copy this link. I'm just opening a new window here because I don't want it to like go into StreamYard and then have that infinite thing. So we have our documentation for our array sort. So our sort method sorts the elements of array in place and returns the sorted array. So as you can see here, they give us an array with months, and once it calls sort, it'll change that original array. So if I'm reading this correctly, feel free to correct me if I'm wrong. Our sort function manipulates our original array. It doesn't create a new one.
Yes, and that's an important thing to note because not all of the functions that you use on arrays do that. Some of them will mutate the array that you give it, and some of them will create a new array and not touch the array that you give it. In which case, you'll need to assign the output of that function to a new variable so that you can use the new modified array. But this one mutates the existing one.
And I think we can also put back a Twilio quest. Slice will create a new array. So yeah, it says that all here. So what we need to do is assign. We'll need to create a new variable when we slice it. But for sorting, we're good to just sort. Oh, why did I keep opening Slack? I'm so sorry. We're good to just sort our original array. So we'll do string array, and we'll just call the sort function on that. Cool. Then we need to slice it. So let's double check. We sort it alphabetically, then we'll create an array. So let's just do sliced array was name, and let's check out our documentation for slicing. So the slice method returns a shallow copy of a portion of an array into a new array object selected from start to end. So we need to pass in parameters for our slice array. So the number that we pass in as an argument is what we're going to give to our slice method.
The thing to notice about slice is that it takes 1 or 2 arguments optionally, and what you're passing in for the first argument is the starting position in the array, or nothing if you want to start at the beginning, and then the second argument isn't the number that the number of elements you're returning, it's the last position that you're returning. And since our array's index on 0, it's important to keep that in mind.
Okay, so like for this example, since it's 2 and 4, it'll go 0, 1, 2, and then.
But if it runs out, it runs out. If it runs out of options, it runs out of options.
Got it. Cool. So for our example, we just need to pass in one number. So we have our new variable created already, and then we'll use string array because our sort method just sorted our original array, so there was nothing new created. And then we'll call slice. And what we want to do is pass in that number that we get from our function call.
-1.
-1. Sorry about that. Yeah, we'll get errors.
Because it's going to assume that you want to start at the beginning since you're only giving it 1 argument. And then it's going to take the 1 argument that you give it, and it's going to identify which element in the array matches that index. And that's going to be the last one that it gives you.
Okay. So now we will just have to return our sliced array. So I'll open up a terminal and check it out here first. Yes, okay. So we do node and just get first amount sorted. Yes. That cat. Is that correct? Let's check. Oh, this should print out apple bat.
Oh, I'm leading you astray. So apparently it wants you to use the input as the index, not the count. I misunderstood. My bad.
Oh, okay. Yeah, got you. So this shouldn't be -1.
I was making it too complicated. This is a thing that I do. Sorry.
It's all good. So if we move that -1, let's see what we get. No, now we're just getting cat. Oh, I'm getting stressed.
Are we converting things to numbers? Did we remember to do that? I'm getting distracted because I'm double checking all of my assumptions, trying to look things up because I'm like, I don't want to give them the right answer for PHP and it be wrong for JavaScript. So I keep getting distracted from the stream because I'm looking things up. My bad.
Let's check it out. So we sort our first array. Then we want to slice it. So
when we send in that number, have we turned it into a number before we're sending it instead of a string?
Since we call the function here, would it already be a number? Like this is what we're using to test it out.
Yeah. Yeah, it should be. If it were being pulled in from an argument, no, but here it should be.
Let's check it out. Let's check it out.
Yeah.
So we have our number of items. That would have been a better name. I didn't think of that. Let's go back to the slice documentation because I feel like that's where it's.
So it does want the number. It says it wants the number of arguments. So I should have been right about the -1. I am so confused. I'm sure we can figure this out though.
Okay, so the slice method returns a shallow copy of a portion of an array into a new array object selected from start to end not included, where start and end represent the index of items in that array. So let me clarify what Twilio class is asking us for. So this is asking for 2. So it's asking for 2 items from our array, correct? Yeah, because this is asking for 3 items. It'll give us 3. So it's telling us the number of items that we need to return.
Which means that to find the index of the last item, we should be able to take that number -1 and get that back, I think.
Which is n elements of the input array, where n is the value of the second. Okay, let's look at this one more time, and then we'll go back to the code. So if we look here, when we call slice and call 2,
it returns the array with the index 0, the index 1, and the index 2, which is 3 items.
Yeah, we don't want that. Twilio class is asking us for those items, so which is why you said -1.
And it should work.
Let's try it again. Sometimes you just, I don't know. For me, I try something, doesn't work. Try something else, and I think that I tried the first thing I tried, but things happen. Let's see what we get. Still getting back in cat. That's okay. Let's see what we're working with here.
Okay, so what we're expecting to get back is apple bat, and instead what we're getting back. So are we passing in the right array to the slice function?
I believe so, because we call the string array and then we sort it.
And sort is supposed to mutate. So let's do a console log and let's print out string array after we sort it and make sure that we're right, that it is sorted the way we want it to be sorted. I mean, it should be, but let's check our assumptions.
Cool. So, okay. Yeah, it's sorted.
It is sorted. Apple, so why aren't we getting the first 2? Why are we getting the second 2? How about if we pass in for our slice? How about if we get super specific about it and tell it 0, number -1?
Okay.
Which technically, because we see what it is when it's sorted, that should give us back apple and bat.
What did I just do? Sorry, my computer lagged a little bit, but now this is giving us just giving us apple. So let's try this. Don't know if this will work. My computer's having a fit right now. I just got this thing. Boom. Okay, there it is. So we had to slice from 0 to the number we wanted, and we get the expected output.
And this is why we always check our assumptions.
Yes. We have some debugging. That's good. That's good to do. And when I upload the code, I'm gonna put some comments and stuff in this to make it clear, because I know I kind of just talk and type things, so I do want to provide commentary for these things. And we'll go back into Twilio class and hack. Cool. And let me just take a quick peek. We were able to get into arrays in our string function, so We are running short on time. So Shreya, did you want to? Oh, sorry. Go
I
ahead.
was supposed to talk about for loops. I'm supposed to talk about for loops. Let's talk about for loops. Okay, so apparently y'all are going to be interacting with for loops at some point this week. And so I'm going to make a few words about that. Definitely encourage you to look this up on the internet. Looking things up on the internet is absolutely one of the most quintessential skills for being a programmer. So practice that skill, get great at that skill. So for loops take 3 arguments. And the first argument is basically okay, so the thing in a for loop is it gets its own variable that only exists in that for loop, and you assign the starting place of that variable as the first argument in that for loop. So like if you want the loop to run 10 times, then you can set the first argument to be I equals 10. So the first argument it takes is an assignment of its internal variable. The second argument that it takes is the conditional end, what it checks for to see if it should stop looping. And so if you set up your first variable to be something that can never reach the second variable, your loop will just go on forever. You have an infinite loop, and you don't want that. And then the third argument that the for loop takes is what it should do to its internal variable every time it loops. Should it add 1? Should it minus 1? Should it add 10? Should it minus 10? Whatever manipulation you want it to do to its internal variable every single loop, so that eventually it will hit that second argument condition. So a really common way for this to look is for, and then in the parentheses, you give it its 3 arguments separated by semicolons. And the first one could be something like I equals 0. And then the second argument, which is the condition that it's looking for to end the loop, could be I equals 10. And then the third argument, which is what it's going to do to that internal variable every time it cycles through, could be I plus 1 or I plus plus, that sort of thing. So that's what you're looking for a for loop. And that's what the 3 arguments are. Assign the starting position of the internal variable. And then the second argument is what will trigger the loop ending with that internal variable. And then the last argument is what to do to that internal variable every single time the for loop loops.
That was an amazing explanation. I did send over a link to like JS loops in general. So if you guys need more information, you can definitely check that out. Danae, do you mind if I just quickly go over the Learning Lab changes real quick?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So let me screen share. I believe this is it. So we've made some changes to the curriculum from last week. And basically what you're going to see when you go into the Learning Lab, this isn't it, but this is what it's going to have, is you're going to have a series of 5 phases that are all related to the same program. So last week you created just like one program by itself. This time you're going to be working on a Roman calculator. So the challenge is basically at the end of the week, we want you to create a calculator that can take in regular integers, but also Roman numerals, convert those Roman numerals into regular integers if you get them, and then do some calculations like addition, subtraction, multiplication, basic stuff. So it's kind of going to walk you through 5 different phases that just break it down into like easy, understandable chunks. And so the first part is going to literally just have you collect user input from command line, which you already know how to do because we covered that in the live streams. And then the second one is going to, I believe, have you create the calculator, the basic calculator. So this is kind of like a fun one because you get to play around a lot with like the conditions that we talked about today. And yeah, after that, phase 3 is converting all of the Roman numerals into regular integers. This is going to be the part that you're going to need the for loops and things for. So if you have any questions, just feel free to talk to your TAs. Danae is here. Margaret's in the chat, but also you have your own mentor that will like definitely love to help you out. Phase 4 is pretty simple once you've done phase 3 because it's literally the opposite. You want to now build a function that helps you convert the integers back into Roman numerals. And then phase 5 is going to be one that kind of puts it all together. And yeah, I think it's like a really fun activity, but it will be a little bit more time consuming than the previous one. So I will recommend as soon as the Learning Lab is updated, we'll send you information in Slack to get started as soon as possible, and let your mentors know if you have any questions. But yeah, that's pretty much it from my side. Thank you so much, Janae and Margaret, for letting me join today.
Thank you so much. Okay, so for next week, I will get all the solutions that we went over today and last week up on the GitHub. Sorry about the YouTube situation last week. I just forgot to check YouTube on StreamYard, so I'll fix that. I apologize for that. But yeah, definitely reach out to us for any questions. Reach out to your mentors about scheduling your meetings for those. And yeah, we will see you guys next week. Thank you.
Also, happy Thanksgiving if you're celebrating it.
Yes, happy Thanksgiving.